Right, hello and welcome to another episode of Mayday Electrical, where you're joining us in Notting Hill, where we're going to be upgrading the power supply for a school from a 100 amp to a 200 amp power supply. Please like and subscribe if you like the content, and let's get into it. Trying to get this down Ladbroke Grove. Okay, right. Essentially what we're going to be doing here is UK Power Networks. We've been in discussion with them, and what they're going to do, if you come and have a look at this, they're going to dig up Ladbroke Grove, and the new submain is going to come in off the street up into our new power supply cabinet, which is over here. But what we're going to do is a nice 200 amp isolator is going to go here, 6-inch trunking, and then the new service head's going to go round about there. We've got to get, see, I wanted to use tri-rated cabling, but they wouldn't let us do it. So we've got to use armoured. So if you go and have a look at the length of that armoured cable, it's an anaconda. So what James and I are going to do, we're going to pull this above the ceiling. We're going to fire tack it along the ceiling there with a bit of all-round band, and then what we're going to do, we're going to come down into here, and there's like this expansion chamber here that we've put in, and then we're going to hopefully get a good enough sweep on the armoured cable. And then this is the old power supply. So it's come about that they're going to upgrade the air conditioning system here, so that 100 amp supply is no longer sufficient. This is going to be a 200 amp supply over there. But we're going to run our new supply in parallel to the old, and then we're going to come back in a few weeks' time, and then we're going to do the disconnection and the changeover. I'm slightly nervous about getting this all in. This gas stuff is going to go eventually as well. But yeah, cool. Let's try and get this above the ceiling and see how we get on. I need to go and have some lunch before I try and do this, but I'm very impatient to see how it's going to work.
Is that right?
See, we'll get the ladder over here. Inside here. So good job I dropped a few dress sizes after Christmas, because it's a bit of a tight squeeze. But yeah, I'll get this cleated. Pass this along, screw, James. Oh, there. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Right, I've not been able to smell for about a year, James, so if you do smell gas, let me know. I wish UK Power Networks would have let me use tri-rated, man. Cool, man. Yeah, once we've got this armoured off, I'm hoping it'll be a lot easier, because it's been sitting on a heated floor as well, so yeah, so with what I was going to do, I was going to use Copex going up and round. Copex is like flexible conduit, and I was going to do it in tri-rated. And I was like, I said that because there's no way we were going to be able to do this. One at a time. What we'll do is give it some black electrical tape. Cheers on it. Yeah, they always make these, I don't know why, but since the gland gets a bit bigger, the shroud gets a lot shorter. Cheers, mate. How are you feeling, James? Are you feeling optimistic about this?
Gotta be.
Gotta be, yeah. Phew. Right. So what's that? That's a Milwaukee Bulldozer, which is a lot better than those bloody Starrett things.
Each stage we'd have
What's that?
filmed it the whole way, because then all of those other holes would have been perfect.
Oh, I know. Yeah. It's normally the other way around, isn't it? Now, this is going to be the fun bit. You've got to take that weight, so you push that bad boy. I mean, there's no electrical connections in here, so I'm not that worried about plastic being in here. There's no electrical connections in here.
You know how electrical connections with plastic?
Yeah, you can, but there's no need to have any electrical connections in here, so push this back in there. Right, so what we want to do is pop that back into there. Right, you take the weight and just pull it this way a little bit. I just want to plop it inside. That's it. Just want to plop that inside there, and we'll get a bit more. I want to get a bit more Corex. So in theory, it should be a walk in the park. So if you take those, what we want to do, take them one at a time. So take the brown one round. Just want to be careful. We don't. So let's get the brown round that door. Just want to be very delicate with it. Okay, make sure it doesn't rub into anything sharp. Let's just try and get this a bit tight down here. Okay, that is nice and solid. Right, so what we've done, we had to improvise a little bit, and we've had to, we wouldn't have been able to get the sweep we wanted on the armoured cable, so what we've done is we've added this expansion chamber. Well, I've just made an expansion chamber out of trunking. So if you look here, we've got a bit of Paxil inside there. So that bit of Paxil in there just gives our inner sheathing a bit of protection. We just managed to get a nice sweep on this cable as it goes down. We're going to do our bonding of the sheathing on the other side, so that'll bond all this as well. And then that's our 50mm. That's our 50mm main earth going in. That's going to go over to the main earth terminal. Yeah, and then it just goes up inside there. It's just clipped up round inside there. Whenever you're doing jobs like this, you've always just got to think ahead. You've got to think, what are going to be the problems? Like, how can I make my life a bit easier? And if you look inside here, let me take the door off. If you look inside here, if we didn't, so this is an expansion chamber, so this is going to go on the top. We're going to remove this top plate, and this is going to sit on the top. And so it's going to give us a really nice run into the top of the main switch, where we're going to bolt our terminations on there, 3-phase and neutral. This is a switch disconnector, okay, which means that the fuse carriage gets disconnected when everything's isolated, which means you can safely touch this without having to isolate the whole building. What you can do, if we wanted to, we can swap out these main links for 200 amp fuses, but we don't want to do that because we're going to get 200 amp supply, and we don't want to put fuses in here because then we'd have to derate the supply for discrimination purposes. What we have, and I'll show you a bit later on, is that at the bottom of the MCCB panel, the multi-K circuit breaker panel, which is the daddy fuse board, there is an MCCB in there which we can set that to be a 200 amp, and then you'll get the protection of our submains, but also you get the discrimination, because all BS88 fuses have a much higher fusing capacity than MCCBs when you set them up correctly. So that's what we can do on that side of things. Okay, let's set this up. So you might be able to recognise my hand. I've got some pen marks there. And yeah, something really weird happened, unusual happened over the weekend. We were, I was around my girlfriend's house, and when you think about the amount of things that we do as electricians, like look at my hands, how bashed up they are. Right, I've never ever had an infection, but I walked down her hallway and I caught the hand on. It was like a really sharp piece of wall or a bit of wallpaper, and I remember just catching my hand on there. And the following evening, my hand started to swell up. So we drew the first line around the swelling. So if you ever do get swelling, draw a line around it just to see if it's something that's getting worse. And it grew out to there. See that mark there? And then it grew, the whole hand went out to there. It's just one of those really unusual things, and I had to sit in A&E last night. Well, not A&E, but I had to go down to a walk-in centre and spend 3 hours in the walk-in centre to try and get antibiotics. And it just makes you really appreciative of a life. If you look into what a life was like before antibiotics, it wasn't one that I wanted to live in, or especially I didn't want to be doing this job without antibiotics, because years ago, before antibiotics, people were a lot more careful of what they'd done. There was a lot more thought into how they could be safe. There was no such thing as extreme sports or anything like that, because if you did cut yourself, chances were, if it got infected, you could lose an arm. It's that bad. But there we are. James is running in the earth for us. Oh, it's bloody heavy. There we go. Oh. Certainly a bit more exciting than changing Aunt Bessie's fuse board under the staircase. Certainly a bit more exciting and more rewarding as well. I do enjoy this sort of work a lot more. It requires a lot more planning, and there is a lot more risk with these sort of jobs, because things can go wrong in terms of how you design and plan things, but it's a lot easier. So good. Right, pen. Okay. Get it to watch it slot onto there. There we go. Cool. we're in. That's it. Fight through the burn, James. Fight through the burn. You're nearly there. It's like a marathon for your arm. It's like a 12k run for your arm. That's it. The last bit is the hardest. It takes the strongest of men to keep fighting in the face of adversity. That's it. You can do it, James. You can do it. Full faith. Full faith. Come on. Okay, main switch termination time. These are now the final terminations, so we've already done the other end, so if we make mistakes, we're not going to be able to pull any slack across. So to negate the risk of cutting these too short, I put the lugs in first, I offer up the cable, I'll mark the cable. I've left my big croppers at home and my torque wrench, but we're coming back with UK Power Networks in a few weeks, so I'll torque everything up then. Right. When you get to really big armoured, they're oval, they're not circular. So we'll crush these a little bit once we've taken the sheathing off, and that'll help us get the crimp lug on. But I'm going to start it off with the hydraulic because, well, I'm going to start it off with the hydraulic, but I'm going to finish it with the manual because the manual one I trust a bit more. This crimper doesn't finalise the crimp as well as I'd like it to. You just want to really, before you do things, finalise things, you want to just double check everything is good. Okay. These are the gut busters, and I think if I go with the hydraulic first, then with the manual, it'll be a bit easier. This is where you choose the what size you want your crimp to be, so we can choose 95s. Okay. That's good. I'm just going to do a double crimp onto this one. There we go. Right. Do it roughly about halfway. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so you're joining us. We're going to test the main switching mechanism before we have UK Power Networks come, because that's just a sensible thing to do. Because if it goes wrong, I'd rather it go wrong without the road dug up. So we've just done a load shed, and we've just removed the intake fuses from the supply. We've just done the load shed. We're just now going to confirm that the power is off. Just going to test the mechanism works, it's fully functioning. Okay, that's promising. We're also going to test the connections, make sure they're not seized up. And yeah, I'd want to just get this bit of the video on, because if UK Power Networks come, we might not be able to get any footage. We're going to connect our new tails into the bottom here. So these are the old 25s. These are going to be removed. This is a multi-case circuit breaker, and the great advantage with these is that they have settings on them. So we're going to adjust this accordingly. There are short-term tripping characteristics and there are long-term tripping characteristics. We're going to adjust both of those, or primarily the long-term tripping characteristics. We're going to move that up to the 200 dial, because then that gives us the added protection of our sub-mains without having to rely on the supply authority's main fuses. Right, back on. The switch is working fine. Happy days. Okay, right, we're about done here. We've just done all our dead tests. So we've done our insulation resistance, our R1, R2s, and our polarity testing, ready for when UK Power Networks comes. But just to show you what we've done, these are the tails that we're going to leave, the double insulated tails. They're all been marked up. I've used a bit of Paxton, but for added peace of mind, I've used a bit of industrial grommet strip as well. And obviously we've got all the metalwork is bonded by 10mm bonding. And then that's our 50mm earth conductor. And yeah, all the flash guards are back, all looking rather neat and tidy, all ready to go. This has all been put back. We've tested the operation of the panel so that when UK Power Networks comes, it gives me peace of mind that I've checked all the connections in there are sufficiently tight, and that the trip mechanism works, and there's nothing seized up. Because if it went wrong, I'd rather it go wrong during half term as opposed to when UK Power Networks have dug up the street. And then we're just going to leave our tails down here. This is our main earthing conductor that's been put on the earth bar, so it's all ready to go. Yeah, so we're gonna have UK Power Networks come in a couple of weeks' time, but I'll just wrap the video up because we won't be able to do any videoing with them here. But yeah, I'm now probably feeling a bit more intimidated about the amount of rubbish that I've got to tidy up now, so that's probably take me quite a long time. But yeah, if you like the video, please give us a thumbs up. Please like and subscribe to the channel. The next video is going to be an ICS charging installation, which has been delayed from about a week or two back because we had really big IT issues on the job, but it's now resolved. So that'll be the next video coming up after this one. But other than that, thank you for watching and stay tuned for more content.